Good afternoon and welcome back to my LinkedIn live sessions. It's Tuesday, it is 12 o'clock, and that does mean that I'm here and I'm going to be talking to you about all things HubSpot. This week, I am going to be broaching the subject of some of the first elements of paid functionality. So, for the last few weeks, we've been working across all of the functionality of the free tools, and certainly that has been working a treat. And now we're going to be moving on to the paid functionality. So obviously, paid functionality brings a whole lot more to the world of HubSpot and to your marketing in general. So, probably the most important feature for me of paid marketing functions would be automation and workflow automation. And so that's where we're going to start today. What do I mean by workflow automation? Well, I guess it's kind of like taking sort of tasks that you would manually do, building them into a programmatic style and allowing that machine to do it on your behalf, to learn, to understand things, and certainly act in a way that probably humans wouldn't be able to do efficiently. Now, this means that you can run campaigns throughout the week, 24/7 if you wanted, but using basically, we still want to use the most human functions, but make them automatic. So functions that we can do, we want to implement in a way that's going to allow us to get the most gains from using computer learnings and from using the technology that exists. So we want to kind of build up campaigns, responses, things that we might forget, anniversaries, especially when you're dealing with large data sets. This is, imagine if you've got 1 million records in your database and you want to remember to send everybody a 15% discount on their birthday or the day before their birthday. That's a big ask. It's a big Excel sheet that you're asking somebody to keep, and that would be somebody's full-time job. Whereas using marketing automation and particularly workflows, what we can do is kind of build some set of criteria and say, if this criteria is met, do this action. And that is where we're going to get started today. So let's get stuck in. So where we are, I have come into HubSpot and I have come to the top menu and I've gone up to this automation tab, which you'll see in the top menu, and I've hit on workflows. And that brings us to here. Now, this is a demonstration account as ever. So there is going to be demo data that you can see. And as if you were coming to this for the very, very first time, it will be blank and it'll ask you to create your automation. But in this instance, you can see we've got some demonstration bits that we've got previously. So what we're going to do, we're going to jump up to the top right-hand corner and we're going to head over and hit create workflow. Once that loads, you're going to be presented with, as ever with HubSpot, a really helpful, practical way of tips or templates. Now, you don't have to have these. You can simply hit start from scratch on this tab here and pick your own. But I think, templates obviously give you a great head start. And this is, again, coming from people that have looked at millions of data sets, from all of the users, from all their own experiences. So naturally, these templates have got a great start because they're based on factual data that you and I would not necessarily have when we're building out our own automations to begin with. So if we take a little look about the kind of types of use for this, so we've got here nurture first conversations. So welcome email to a new conversation. This is ideal if you have say a newsletter sign up, or a discount sign up on your website, or if somebody fills out a contact form. It's a great opportunity for you to kind of get them into a journey where you send them a nice thank you, which is fairly standard, but maybe a couple of days later you might want to follow up. You might not have heard from them, so it might just be a check-in. It might just be that we noticed you did this, so this might be of interest to you. We noticed that you downloaded this guide. Here's some other really cool, relevant content that we've got in that same area. So, it's about being able to create a small journey just to kind of build that initial conversation, start that relationship. Because as we know, ultimately, marketing is about building relationships. We do that in human form when we meet each other, when we speak to each other. what we're trying to do here with digital marketing is exactly the same thing. We want to build a relationship, we want to build trust between each other, and then people will likely be more interested in what you have to offer, or certainly be appreciative of the content that you're sending them. The next one down, notify your sales rep about a lead. Again, these are great things, and what you can do is build in multiple workflows into your kind of overall strategy. You can also have different steps within a workflow. So you might well welcome somebody using a nurturing conversational type workflow, but actually it might be really good if you've got a sales team that they are also aware that somebody has downloaded this guide, or somebody has made contact. You can filter and rotate those leads amongst different sales reps. You can automatically, split that across a team of people. It might all go to the same person. I actually find it really helpful. So when we have a person contact us at Finally across our site, I am sent an instant email. You can set it up to WhatsApp with a plugin. You can have text messaging as standard. You can send emails. You can send notifications to HubSpot. I think the key thing being that the sooner someone in sales is aware that there's a genuine prospect that's done or taken an interest in something, the faster they can have that conversation. And as I just mentioned, it's all about conversation. So you want that opportunity to be able to make that conversation happen. There's some stats and data that looks, and talks about, the fastest that you can have to someone's initiative within 2 minutes is kind of been proven that if you can make contact with somebody within 2 minutes of them making that interaction, you're likely to, get that sale to close faster than any other time. That doesn't mean that you're going to literally jump on them, but I think, there's ways and means of again, having a nice starting conversation. So, sending a notification when a meeting is scheduled. So that might be that you could well be using, say, HubSpot's built-in meeting tool. If you're not, highly recommend it. Go back and check out my video on that. You can do that for free using the free tools. If you have paid, you've got a few more bits that you can tweak, which we'll go into in another video, certainly, because for me, the meeting tools is one of the best things about HubSpot from a organizational point of view. It stops that whole I'm free between 12 and 2 and wait for somebody to email you back, and in the time they've taken to email you back, you've booked that meeting. So that space is now gone. You have to go back to them. Sorry, that's now gone. How about this? Eliminates all of that. You just send the link. Here's my diary. Find a time that suits you. They book in. It books the meeting in your diary. It books the meeting in their diary. And then we can use a workflow like this to send them a reminder that something's coming up. So, it might be 2 days before or a day before. Hey, really looking forward to our upcoming meeting. Don't forget, if you could do this, this, and this ahead of the call, it's going to make the most of both of our times. Or here's a video that we've recorded talking to you all about what's going to happen on that meeting. Please check that out ahead of the time. Lots of use cases, but certainly a very powerful thing. I know one for myself, getting that reminder a day before, an hour before is really handy. Sometimes, you book things 2-3 weeks in advance, you kind of forget about it. We're running really super busy lives, yes, you glance at your diary in the morning, but actually getting a nice email, personal, from somebody just going, hey, really looking forward to our meeting, today, tomorrow, 2 hours, whatever it might be. I think it's a nice touch. I think it brings you back to the front and center of their minds. And they're in a really nice position when they start that conversation with you. I don't want to talk you through the rest of all these. There's lots, as you can see in the templates, but what I want to do is actually jump in and start building out a first workflow with you. So I'm going to go with nurture first conversation. It's a nice starting base for a workflow. So first things first, we want to give this workflow a name, as you can see up here, or else you're going to be stuck with some generic workflows. And if you have to leave and come back for any reason, you want to know where you were. So we're going to call this demo workflow, and we'll call it, initial conversation type. Always love typing live because it tells you how bad my typing is. Then when we're done with that, we're just going to go ahead and hit next in the top right hand corner. And then we're going to say, what's the first thing that we're going to do? So we're going to choose an email. Now, there's likely not going to be an email in here, but we will. No. So we're going to create a new email. So just hit that button and it's going to bring up your templates. Again, for these purposes, I'm just going to use all of the demonstration templates. So here we go. It's a new email for demo. We're going to leave all of that now. You would obviously customize this, which again, you can jump back into previous video over on YouTube. If you're not a subscriber to my YouTube channel, please mind finally. I'm not trying to take the credit. We all contribute. So please subscribe. There's tons of really useful resources. All of these sessions do get published on YouTube today as we're doing them live, but also they're then stored there forevermore. There's a whole section on how to build emails in HubSpot where I talk you through the drag and drop editor. Let's go ahead and check that out. Okay, we've just got to do certain things or it won't let me save it. So demo email. We can't type. And it's marketing, blah, 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 review and save. What else do we need? Company name and address isn't there. Okay. Naturally, all of this sort of stuff you would have set up when you set your portals up. And again, if you haven't, there is obviously already a video recorded talking about how to do this. Yeah, this wouldn't be something you would have to do. Go save for automation. And we've jumped back to here, give it a little refresh. And we're going to click the new email for, sorry, I didn't publish it. Did publish it. Yeah, happy with that. Yeah. There we go. It's now published. Come back here. And there we go. We can select that email. So I'm going to do that. And then what do we want to do? Well, this is about a delay. So we can decide, typically 3 days is a good starting ground. I think what I would advise in any of this sort of automation is test, test, test. Watch the data, make some changes. Only ever change one thing though. What a lot of people do is they change multiple parts of a process, and then the data is skewed because you don't know which one of the parts that you changed actually had the positive or negative effect. So certainly in these situations, if you're going to run with say 3 days, and then you think actually I want to see if sending it 2 days has a better rate or 4 days, make the change, run it for a period of time, maybe work out what your data set looks like, take an average. So let's say on a typical month you send 200, I would say that you'd want at least say 30 to be a number that you would look to manage to understand whether something's had a good or bad effect. So 30%. So do that, change it, wait till you've had another 30, see whether that response was better or worse, and go from there. We're going to go 3 days, and then we're going to pick the second email. Now, I'm not going to build another email because we don't need to, so I'm just ticking the same one. But obviously what you would do is have the secondary email. So the whole point of this workflow is that somebody gets an initial email, it's going to wait for 3 days, it's going to send the second email. And so we're going to go ahead and create that. So the way that we've actually building these was a wizard, as you saw. It was like asking me questions and helping me to build that out. Now, as you'll now see on the screen, this is actually the workflow builder. So you can kind of build further legs, you can add extra steps, you can completely customize things, you can set goals. Now, I'll try and talk you through most of these in the remaining few minutes. Really importantly, I think, is to set a goal. Why do anything if we're not going to measure its success? So the first goal here would be to set, we're going to pick. So this is about sending somebody an email and getting a response. So perhaps what we would want this goal to be might well be that marketing email, pick the email that we created, new email for demo, and that the contact opened the email. So that is the goal. The goal of this whole workflow is to make sure that the contact receiving the email opens the email. And if they successfully open the email, we've achieved what we wanted, and therefore we've completed our goal. So I'm just going to talk you through the tabs across the top. So we've got the obviously the name, which we picked earlier, which is in the center. Then we have the actions, which is the bit that we've built out via the wizard and we can customize momentarily. And then the next next tab along, is settings. So this is around whether we want to tie it to a campaign. So what HubSpot has really good use is campaigns. Now, a campaign in HubSpot's language is a way to report across multiple instances of what we're doing. So we might create a campaign for a particular product launch. It might be I don't know, a channel. So I have a campaign running for all the work I do here on LinkedIn, so I can monitor any of the actions that come back. So then anyone that throughout, so sending an email, writing a social post, a live chat conversation, you can pin them back to a campaign. So then later on, we'll be able to report on the success of that campaign, and it will give you a really cool breakdown of all of the different touch points that was had from that campaign. We can also look at when do we want the actions to be executed. So do you want this to be 24/7, 7 days a week? Or do you want it to be specific hours? Now, I generally believe that when you are doing automation, you should, in my opinion, try and make it seem as human as possible. So I would typically only run these within working hours. Now, if you're an online e-commerce store, totally get it. You're going to run that 24/7 because people, are different time zones. People are, buying products when they want to. And if it's say an automatic response to a purchase or a thank you, then you want them to get that straight away. But for say B2B, particularly, the world that I tend to work in is manufacturing and engineering companies in the B2B sector. We would run this during, office hours or, give or take 1 or 2 hours either side, maybe 8 till 6, Monday to Friday. Maybe we'd run through Saturday, but possibly Sunday we would leave it. Only because if you send something that triggers a response and then somebody actually responds to that email or picks up the phone thinking that they've had an email and someone's going to be there and you're not there, that creates a really negative view of your company. And so whenever you're going to send something, it should be in a time, in my mind, when there is somebody there to deal with a potential response, a potential sale, a potential inquiry. You wouldn't want to miss those out. So if generally, if you're sending, say, a marketing email, you're going to trigger a response in somebody, and that might be a positive response, like, oh yeah, cool, I'm going to buy that. Or yeah, actually that is really interesting to me. I'm going to pick up the phone and have that conversation. If you're not there to have that conversation, that's really bad. And then come Monday morning when their lives are really busy, they may well forget to call you and you've missed that opportunity. If you create that opportunity at a time when you're there to have it, perfect. We can deal with that right there and then. So we can change this, as you say, and we can change it to Monday to Friday, and we can do 8 till 6. Let's just say 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. And we're going to go ahead and click save. Always click save in the bottom left hand side or you will lose what you've just done. There you go, your times were updated. We can do the sample campaign. It's the only campaign in there, so we're tying that to a campaign now, and we're good to go. The performance tab is actually quite handy. What it allows you to do is come and look at this particular workflow in isolation and get an understanding of the performance. So you're going to start to see how many people are enrolled in that, how many people have completed it, different trends that you might see, that people are dropping out after this stage or people are dropping off here, different things. You also get a history tab, which is the last tab, and that's going to actually tell you the actionable logs of what's taken place. All of that information is also available in multiple other places. So we can pull a really cool in-depth report within the reporting section. We can build out a dashboard. The history will also appear in individual contact. So if I was enrolled into this, my history with this workflow will also be in my contact record. So if you're just in the CRM and looking at contact, you'll be able to understand what they've done within different workflows. But if you are looking to improve a workflow or understand a specific workflow, it is quite handy to be able to come directly into the individual workflow and make that change. So look guys, I'm really sorry we have run out of time today. I like to keep these to 20 minutes. It's called 20 in 21, so 20 minutes in 21 a year. I hope that you found this useful. Clearly there's a lot to talk about with workflow automation. So next week we're going to come back in here and we're going to really look at these actions in detail. I'm going to talk you through how to build out more actions. I'm going to talk you through about quashing and restricting certain contacts. There's loads and loads. I think this is probably going to end up taking me 2 to 3 sessions to really talk you through. But for now, I want to wish you all a great rest of the week. Thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Now, please connect with me on LinkedIn. I'd love to hear from you. Find us on YouTube, subscribe to our channel, and you'll find out lots more information from both myself and the rest of the team here at Finally. Take care, guys.